So, human versus undead. Chaemiko is the player on the right side of the map. Human player from South Korea. My volume in the earphones is too high, I have to turn it off a little bit. On the left side of the map we got Lucifer once again. Drawing Warcraft with the raffle. You really love the raffle, man. If it doesn't give you the comment, try again. I don't know why if people write raffle it doesn't work and then I write it and it works. It's kind of weird. Maybe there is some setup that only the streamer can do that, I'm not sure. You have to type join if you want to participate. I have to check how this raffle works. I recommend you just play the roulette right now and the duels. So right now you can duel your another guy. If there's more people in the chat, more than like two or three people, you can duel them and you can challenge them. And if they accept, one of the two is gonna win points and the other one is gonna lose points. And then you can also do the slot machine, I think. Now it's over Drawing Warcraft. Because the multi-raffle is, you have to be very fast because it will end in 7 seconds, I think. You can play the slot machine. So if you do slots like let me try 200. Fuck you. I got an emoji and I lost 200 points. I want to check the options for the raffle, the settings. Max duration for single raffle in seconds, 30, maximum amount 3000. This time is 30 seconds and it's still 5000 points. So I'm gonna change the maximum amount. Okay. So let's change to 2000. You won 5000 points. But that's too easy. I will edit it now and I will put only 2000 points because there's not enough viewers at this point, so to give so many points. Then when I have more I will increase the amount. Yeah. So now I know how it works exactly. Slot machine, let's take a look at the settings for the slot machine. Minimum points 100. So for the slot machine you need a minimum point of 100. And if you're lucky you will like multiply your gold. If you're unlucky you will get an emote. So that's it. So Lucifer on the left side of the map as the undead player. On the right side of the map we got Chaemiko, aka Chaemiko from Korea, starting with the Archmage. And what can we say about this player? Chaemiko has been performing pretty decently. Recently he qualified for the GCS summer. He didn't make it through the group stages though, but he did a very good job qualifying for the main event, because in Asia there's a lot of competition with a lot of strong players taking part to the qualifiers. So Chaemiko managed to get a spot for GCS, and now he's playing this game against Lucifer. Who I think was also active in Europe when Jera Cup was still going, which means a few months ago. And that player can play a little bit of all races. I believe I've seen him on stream play human very well, so undead is his main race, but he can play other races as well. Chaemiko starting with the mercenary camp. He pulled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 militia, or 6, okay, 6 militia to grip this camp. And he's not even calling the militia back, which I agree with, because you waste a lot of time. So it's just letting the peasants be here, since you don't really need them to creep the expansion. And you can already see a difference with the game I casted yesterday between Lucifer and Hawk, where Hawk played the Mountain King first and immediately sent a footman here. So if you sent a footman here, you can scout this properly and see if the undead decides to go for the greedy goblin shop creep that you can do with skeletons only if you do this appropriately. But Chaemiko is not aware of this, or maybe he decided to just let Lucifer do that. He didn't scout it, so Lucifer is gonna be level 2 here.
Player's forces are under attack.
So that's kind of a decent early game. Look at the amount of the experience that the DK has already. He's got a good item also, he's got a circlet of nobility. And don't underestimate the power of the circlet. So Archmage is level 3 though, so creeping this camp took the undead quite some time, which means that you're not going to be able to apply any pressure to the human early on, which means that Chaemiko is going to be able to quite easily build this expansion. Of course, the undead is going to start his pressure right now. So let's see if he can snipe some peasants.
Player's forces are under attack.
So far he is only able to get 1, so that's not too great. Chaemiko's got this Berserker, which does, keep in mind, it does 28 from 28 to 37. So the DPS of the Troll Berserker is pretty sick. The undead is now building the slaughterhouse. But I think it's always pretty good for the human when you're able to easily set up your expansion without having any kind of pressure. So personally I tend to prefer the style where the undead plays aggressive and goes for the creep jack early on instead of getting the level 2, prioritizing trying to steal the archmage's levels. Because if you leave the human alone and you go creep yourself, yeah, you get level 2, but then you're facing an archmage level 3 and that's not ideal. Of course now he's got the leech, so little bit more map control for the undead. Nice movement by Chaemiko with the footman, saving all of them. And I think his attack has already started just because of how perfect his early game was, losing only one peasant. So even if Lucifer decides to go for a rifle push, it's gonna be pretty easy, or at least it should on paper be very easy for Chaemiko to fend it off just with double workshop or double Graphion Aviary. So I'm kind of curious to see if Chaemiko decides to play it Hawk style, which means with double Graphion Aviary, or if it decides to go for rifles or double workshop. Pretty sure it's going to be tier 3, since Chinese humans don't really go for the tier 2 army, which is kind of the standard and the right thing to do against undead, since you don't want to fight the undead's tier 3 with tier 2 units only. A little bit more creeping for Lucifer, who's gonna be able to snipe the Ogre Magi here and possibly get a very good item. And keep in mind that we are on Eco Isles, so there isn't a lot to creep besides the mercenary camps and what's in the middle. Of course you got the turtle on the right and the turtle on the left, but that's about it. Then there's nothing more, so you don't really want to let the undead creep too much, because then you don't have any camps to creep yourself. Looks like he's not able to staff, or he cancelled it. He wanted to staff on the footman, but then the staff was cancelled. So Chaemiko retrained to Blizzard, but looks like he's mostly hitting his own footman. So, and now he's even using invoke potion. So I think this Aras was a little bit of a fail. Most likely we'll have to use TP, and it does indeed. So very bad trade for the human here. He didn't accomplish anything. He just denied like a little bit of mining for a few seconds, but that's about it. Blizzard is going to be very handy though to fend off this push with Fiends. So I actually like this defense that he's doing right now more than the vanilla Aras that he did. Oh my god! That was so close. And he gets it! And he gets it with the Orb of Corruption. I was like, he saved it, but it didn't. The right clicks of the Lich finishing off the Archmage, and this Lich isn't really too scary because he's only +5, he has only Gloves of Haste, but the damage output was enough because Archmage is just so squishy. So Chaemiko is finally building a workshop. He's got one Sanctum for Breakers, so I suppose he's gonna try to go for mortars, I think, or tanks. Because, or maybe it's going to build some preemptive gyros, but there's only one slaughterhouse, and it looks like Lucifer is not going for destroyers at all. So if Chaemiko reads it properly, you actually don't need anti-air in this game so far, because there ain't gonna be any destroyer. So I like that he only invested in 4 towers, he didn't overinvest into towers, because there isn't gonna be any destroyer push. Looks like it's tower workshop, so it has to be tanks. So maybe he wants to lane with tanks and distract, and then switch to an army of knights, because knights of course do a lot of damage to fiends. He's not producing breakers, interestingly. And he went paladin second, so it looks like he prioritizes keeping his archmage alive over everything. I like this because when you play with Blizzard, you really rely on your archmage being full HP and being able to keep casting it. So if you have a paladin, you can actually sustain those blizzards a lot more. It looks like it's not enough to keep his hero alive, and if the archmage falls again, so it looks pretty bad for the human at this point. Still 3 fiends on the field, he killed 2 of them, but it's not enough. The statues are really doing all the work. Look at the mana regeneration, so fast. It's like having infinite mana for the undead. And nice surround though by Chaemiko, maybe forcing a TP here. Of course not without suffering severe losses. Again, loses again 2 or 3 footmen, I think 2 of them, but rebuying the archmage at the tower will be very expensive. So let's see if he decides to purchase it, or doesn't have an altar, so it kind of doesn't have any choice but to revive it at the tavern. First 2 tanks are on the field, and let's see if Chaemiko can actually do something with those. 0-0 though, so I would like to see like 1-1. But looks like with Lucifer putting so much pressure, his macro was a little bit late, and Chaemiko is only now starting his first upgrade.
Job done.
We have now the first breaker on the field. Priest is about to get sniped by a nice Holy Light by Chaemiko, saving it at the last time, at the last second. First Abomination is also on the field for the undead, and it will provide a lot of damage with the normal damage against the tanks. I suspect there's going to be a meat wagon soon added to the mix to properly defend from the tanks. But in the meanwhile, the undead keeps pressuring this human main very hard, and it's kind of a hard game right now for Chaemiko, stuck at level 3 with the archmage. He has to do a lot of damage with the blizzard. He's got 3 tanks right now, which have a lot of damage and are not to be underestimated. So I think the undead is gonna be forced back here soon, because the castle isn't going to fall anytime soon, but the main of the undead will, if Lucifer doesn't teleport. So it does it right now, which means that Chaemiko can finally keep mining again. He saved 3 peasants over there, and he's producing more tanks. So pretty close game so far. Of course the human cannot really win a fight, because like I said before, you can't creep, because this map is so small. And so you have to play the lame game. You cannot get the experience, you can't creep your paladin to level 3, you don't have a Mountain King, so you kinda have to win it with the tanks, otherwise it's gonna be GG, especially because the undead, once he gets the map control, which he already has, he can expand at any point in time, so he could even expand right now, but because he's being pressured, then it doesn't make any sense to expand right now. First he needs to stabilize and then he can expand, but this gold mine is full of gold. This gold mine already only has 6,000 left, so if Chaemiko doesn't win the game with the tanks soonish, he has no chance. Paladin not level 3 yet. And I think the only camp that has not been crept is this, the Gargantuan Sea Turtle on the right and the same on the left, right? Okay, the Mer camp was not crept either, so more juicy experience for Lucifer, who's now 4-3-2. So I don't think that the human will ever be able to take a fight in this game. Paladin just got killed somewhere because he got level 2. And now let's see if okay, Chaemiko chooses to creep with the Archmage just to get the level 2 Brilliance Aura, which I think is very important. Immediately after getting it, he moves the Archmage back and prioritizes the Mountain King. So very crucial creep camp here. With this one is able to get 4 to... Is he gonna lose the Mountain King? Is he gonna lose the Mountain King to the creep? He loses the Mountain King to the creep. That's the last thing I would expect from a pro player, but he was clearly overwhelmed by this pressure here. And he was overwhelmed by so many things happening, and he didn't notice that the Mountain King was falling. And looks like that's the nail in the coffin for Chaemiko, which was already in a pretty bad spot, and now he loses his MK. So
our town is under siege. Our town is under siege.
how many tanks does he have? 2, 3. But nice staff with the Lich. And yeah, since on the Eagle Isles you don't even have the Zeppelin, there's not much that the human can do at this point, because if you had like a Zeppelin you could just drop 2 tanks here and maybe snipe the gold mine, but with 3 mid wagons here, all the pathways have been blocked by the undead. The human just doesn't find the space to sneak out those tanks, so you can see he's trying to move them behind the trees here and sneak somehow into the undead base, but it's kind of predictable, to be honest, and I don't think he can win anymore.
Our forces are under attack. Our town is under siege. Our forces are under attack.
He's got 2-1 upgrades on these tanks, which is nice, but I think he's gonna call for the GG soon. Did he revive the Mountain King?
Our forces are under attack.
Yeah.
Ready to work.
But he doesn't have an orb of fire, so he cannot. This Mountain King won't help defending here. It looks like he's stuck in the base. Five tanks would do a lot of damage if the undead wasn't constantly patrolling this side of the map.
Ready to work.
Coil Nova on the Archmage, Holy Light barely saving him. Nice block with the Paladin.
Our forces are under
But the undead is full mana, so this Archmage should fall. Unless there's a staff. And the Archmage fall, and with it it's gonna be the GG, I guess. Paladin should be soon to follow, and yeah. Chaemiko calls for the GG.